Shalom Aleichem. Welcome to Eretz Israel. It's Friday afternoon. The sun is going down. The temperature is rising inside. And we have an idea here, a midrash that is really a faith builder. It's really something that every single human being needs to hear, not just the Jews, not just the religious. Everyone needs to hear it. And I call it the greatest promise of redemption. Because a lot of people have a hard time with the Jewish theology, with the whole approach to the repair of the world, tikkun olam, the promise of the world to come, life after death, revival of the dead. There's a lot of big promises that are woven into Judaism, and they make it actually harder in certain ways to believe in the simple idea of God gave us the Torah and we're supposed to keep it. Okay, so and there's many promises of redemption. God promises us redemption if we do tshuva. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai promises us redemption with mercy because of his book, the Great Zohar. We're promised redemption because of God's brit, God's covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We're promised all kinds of places throughout the Torah literature. There's allusions and direct references to this idea of redemption. Redemption means freeing something from its bondage. Okay? Now, bondage can look like a lot of different things. You can be a slave in Egypt, or you can be, bound to your desk at work for 18 hours and go home on weekends. There's all kinds of bondage. Bondage of the soul within the body is probably the one that we all suffer the most. Because even if you have everything that the world wants, money, wealth, power, fame, glory, fulfillment, there's still always part of us that's going to long for something else. And that something else is the big something. The big something. The spark of the infinite within us will not let us rest. Because the spark of the infinite wants recognition from within. Okay, so what is the biggest of all these promises of redemption? Bringing forth the holy spark of our soul into freedom from the slavery to the body, to the slavery to our lust, to slavery to greed, to all the different slaveries that everybody knows about. Slavery to your phone, it's a new one, right? What is the biggest promise? It's like this. A friend asked, I don't like this idea of the evil inclination, that we're born with two halves, a good inclination and a negative inclination, an evil inclination we call it. A lot of people have a problem with this idea, that we carry around within us this inclination to do the exact opposite of what we should do in any situation. I like to think of it as the inner resistance to goodness. Inner resistance to anything good. Now, sometimes it's good not to do something, and sometimes it's good to do something. But either way, if it's good, you're going to get a resistance to it. Rabbi Nachman carries it further and calls it the power of imagination to exaggerate, to obfuscate, to confuse, to make us think we see one thing and it's really something else. So the power of imagination is also, people love imagination. People cherish their imagination. Imagination creates many beautiful things in the world, but here we're talking about the imagination that is turned into a tool of exaggeration and falsehood. Okay, but still, what is going to free us from all this? And why do we have it? It's not fair. I wasn't created against the Pirkei Avot says against my will. I was decreated. What's that? I was created against our will. We're going to die. Against our will, we have to serve God. Against our will, we have to make din v'cheshbon. We have to make a final accounting. And he gave us the evil inclination in the first place. I didn't ask for it. I didn't stand in line. I didn't sign up. We were born against our will. We had no will. In the simplest terms, now if we want to trace the soul back in time and space and above time and space and start to look at reincarnation scenarios, okay, we can find other ways of discussing this. But The bottom line is we have to deal with an evil inclination every day of our life. And we don't often win. As a matter of fact, it looks like if you had a big enough statistical counter in heaven, how many good deeds are done and how many not good deeds are done, I don't want to even think about those numbers. That's God's business. But it doesn't look too good, right? If you read the news, right, or if you hear the videos going. However, this is the very thing that will give us the greatest hope, the greatest comfort. The greatest comfort is that God gave us the inclination, we're told by the sages, against our will, and therefore he's going to give us the redemption even if we don't deserve it. Even if our statistics are really bad and the prognostics are even worse. No matter what, we can be guaranteed that God will bring the redemption because he set us up for this test in this world, in this body. And that setup was, to do good, to give humanity a sense of their own godliness. But you can't feel godly if you don't know what good and evil is about. That's why the eating in the garden, from this idea of the duality of good and evil, that was actually necessary. But God put it on Adam's shoulders in order that Adam could merit to discover his own divinity. Because you cannot have divinity without free choice. And when you discover your own divinity, it's a joyous moment in your life. Trust me. And it's a moment that you will never forget. And it's a moment that will carry through in the darkest times. I am not this dark, lowly creature that I sometimes seem to think I am, or other people tell me I am. No. We are beings of light thrown down into a vessel of darkness. Now, light in Kabbalah, or light, really translates as will, ratzon, desire, but holy desire. Light is desire. If a person has desire, he has life. If a person has no desire for anything, he's on the way out. So God gives us this desire to know things, and our job is just to focus the camera, focus the microscope on what is it I really want to know. Do I want to know how to make more money and take advantage of more people and manipulate? Or do I want to know why I'm here in the first place, why the Creator made me, why he put me here, why I suffer, why others suffer? Why can't I just be happy all the time? It sounds like a legitimate question. And you can be happy all the time, but it takes a lot of work. So the greatest promise for redemption is the fact that we have this evil inclination, and God is going to transform it before our very eyes, and it's happening day by day. You can see it in the goodness in people. You can see it in the goodness of animals. You can see it in the redemption of nations and in the freedom of little creatures. You can see it everywhere if you know how to look. And that redemption is the freeing any living thing from the bondage of a system that's a setup for domination and failure. And that's only a short-term deal. That's going to end soon. And humanity is going to step to a new level. And whether it's graceful or not, or in mercy or not, really depends on each and one of us individually. But it's happening. And the promise is going to be made in front of us, hopefully in our generation, hopefully in the next day, in the next week or month or year. When it is, that's really not exactly our business, because it's happening moment by moment, person by person, as we make these little discoveries of our own precious connection to the deep spark of God within us. When you make that discovery enough, day by day, then you become that discovery. And you understand that we are not animals, that we are not even angels, we're above the angels. And all that revelation takes time, of course, and it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of getting up and picking ourselves up from the dirt and from the dust of this world. But once you get used to picking yourself up, you get pretty good at it, you know? So the week is over. We're entering Shabbat, and Shabbat, of course, is the microcosmic world to come. It's a taste of the world to come. It's a taste of after redemption reality. Where, what do we do? Do we have to go struggle and work for 8 hours a day to eke out that loaf of bread? No. It's going to be a little different. But we're going to do things like learn and pray and dance and sing and talk Torah and share ideas and experience the presence of our Creator. Because that's what that's his greatest gift that he can give us, is himself. But we need to earn it so we don't feel shame when we get it. And then it's going to be really good. And evil will just disappear from our hearts because we'll see the logic of goodness and the illogical choices that evil leads us to. So I want to be part of that. I want all of you to be part of that. You are part of it. We're not spectators on this planet. We are the players. God bless you all. Have a great Shabbat. We'll see you next week on all the platforms. Shabbat Shalom.